Okay, Bishop, why don't you come back and stand on this side so that others can, okay, and Chris, if you'll come around and stand on the other side of the bishop, okay?
Yes, sir.
Come on in, friends. And you want to place your water someplace, sir? Okay. You
You
okay?
can place it right down in the front.
All right. Bishop, will you be so kind as to hold
Of course.
my defense?
I get plenty from
Let me thank the members of the press for coming on what is considered short notice by many. But I'm certainly grateful that you're here because it's because of you, to be very candid, that we are where we are today. It was the press that first called issues associated with mail delivery to my attention some years ago now. And we started a process of trying to ascertain what the problem was. And in so doing, we did many things. We sent letters, we visited the postal facilities, but we never were able to get the results that we wanted, although there was some improvement in delivery. So I'm grateful for what has been done, and I'm grateful that we have some friends with us today who are going to help with the explanation of what is happening from their point of view. Everybody has a different perspective about this, and I think all of them are worthy of consideration. So speaking today will be Bishop James Dixon, Jr. Bishop Dixon is with the NAACP. He is the president of the Houston branch of the NAACP, and many of you know him from his good works across the length and breadth of the city, not only as a member of the NAACP, but just as a person who cares about people. We have our city controller. This is the Honorable Chris Hollins, and I say honorable because I say honorable whenever I speak of an elected official, and hope that some of them will say honorable when they reference me. But he's a truly a great public servant, and I'm honored that he has chosen to be with us today. Now, he is on what I call a short fuse, meaning he will have to leave at some point. So please do not be offended if he should traverse the area in some way to make his way to the exit. He has other duties that he is going to have to give attention to, but he took the time to be here with us, and we're grateful. We have Mr. Willie Ferguson. He is with the National Association of Letter Carriers, Local 283. Would you hold your hand up, Mr. Ferguson, so they can see where you are? All right, this is Mr. Ferguson. I'm proud that you're here, Mr. Ferguson. I'm a union man myself. I'm a member of Local 1550 here. Ask me, dues, paying dues, check-off member. So thank you for being with us. James Minton is here, National Association of Letter Carriers, Local 283. He's also the liaison for Congressional District 9. Thank you, Mr. Minton. And we have Ms. Bernadette Baker. She is with the American Postal Workers Union, Local 185. Thank you for being here. Now I'd like to acknowledge Ms. Ford, Mr. Boris Malvo, and thank you for being here with us as well. I mentioned a couple of items that I have from other occasions that we've had press events or engaged with issues associated with the Postal Service. I have a letter that is dated February 22nd, 2024, the style of which is Request for USPS Community Engagement and Transparency in Houston Area Operations. Throughout this process, we've been asking for transparency. The Postal Service, upon meeting with me and others, literally told us that they will only have a press event when they have some good news. They don't hold press events unless they have good news, which means that I became somewhat of a surrogate, a person who was put in the position of having to respond to questions that I could not answer because I don't understand all of the nuances of the way the Postal Service functions. But I took up the role of trying to do as best as I could, along with my colleague, the Honorable Sylvia Garcia. She is not with us today, but I do want you to know that she has been a major help in trying to get these issues resolved. I have also a press release, and it is dated January 25th, 2024. It is styled Congressman Al Green issues response to the United States Postal Service's statement regarding mail delays. And again, in this press statement, I speak of transparency, which is something that we continue to press. With this said, I have my press release from January 22nd, 2024, and again, transparency. Well, let me now move to the issue at hand, and this involves a letter that was sent by Mr. DeJoy, who is the head of the Postal Service, and he sent his letter to several people. He sent it to the Speaker of the House, Johnson. He sent it to Majority Leader Thune, Minority Leader Jeffries, Minority Leader Schumer, Chair Comer, and Chair Ranking Member, Connolly. And these are persons who are associated with the Oversight and Reform Committee in the Congress. This committee has jurisdiction over these issues that we will speak of today. I would also invite you to know that I have a letter that was sent to me from my colleagues on the committee, Connolly being the lead person, indicating that they will be asking for a hearing similar to the request that I have made for a hearing on these issues, and you'll understand why I've requested the hearing in just a moment. So permit me to read excerpts from a letter that I sent just recently. This letter is dated March 14th, 2025, and the reference line reads, request for a congressional hearing prior to the elimination or marginalization of the Postal Regulatory Commission. It reads, Dear Speaker Johnson, Majority Leader Thune, Minority Leader Jeffries, Minority Leader Schumer, Chair Comer, and Ranking Member Connolly. The PRC is the Postal Regulatory Commission. This is the watchdog that is there to make sure that the Postal Service functions efficaciously. It reads, the PRC is an independent agency established by the Postal Reorganization Act of 1970 to provide oversight of the USPS, United States Postal Service. Recently, the PRC and the head of the USPS, Postmaster Louis DeJoy, have engaged in a dispute over Postmaster DeJoy's execution of his reorganization of the USPS. Postmaster DeJoy has been doing this for some time, and he was given a noble assignment to cause the USPS to become not only an independent agency, but also one that covers its expenses, which is something that we don't require of agencies associated with the government, generally speaking. Earlier this year, the PRC released an advisory opinion stating that this reorganization is irreversibly changing its network without laying a foundation for success, and that the reorganization is downgrading service for a significant portion of America. Now, it's interesting to note that in this one paragraph that I read to you, you have Mr. DeJoy indicating that he has a reorganization taking place. And then you have the head of the PRC, this is the watchdog, indicating that this is being done in a way that is irreversibly changing its network without laying a foundation for success. So now you can ascertain that these two organizations are at odds. Postmaster DeJoy recently sent you a letter, and I'm talking now about the persons that this letter that I'm sending has been sent to. Postmaster DeJoy recently sent you a letter claiming that the PRC, which was designed to oversee the actions of the USPS and protect Americans, is a barrier to a more efficient and effective postal service and is unnecessary. Now, this is a word that we have to flag, is unnecessary. So Mr. DeJoy is saying that the watchdog is not necessary. Of course, I have to differ with him. I differ because every agency that we have, generally speaking, has a watchdog. If we eliminate the watchdog, then who is going to be there to make sure that the agent functions as mandated by Congress? Continuing, given that two congressionally created agencies are at loggerheads, it would be injudicious to eliminate the one that provides oversight without congressional approval. Congress set this in motion. If it is to cease to move, if it is to be eliminated or marginalized, Congress should have to have the authority, and it does, quite frankly, to say that this is the case. Unfortunately, Mr. DeJoy takes on the role now of Congress in that he may be marginalizing or eliminating, eviscerating this agency that Congress created. So we should weigh in on this. I go on to say, Congress should not allow its mandated watchdog to be extinguished or marginalized without weighing in. I propose that Congress hold a hearing before its watchdog is doged. That's another way of saying eviscerated, marginalized, possibly eliminated before it is doged. Now, friends, let me conclude before I bring others forward to say this. This has been a struggle, working to make sure that the mail is delivered timely and appropriately. We've had a wedding dress that was delivered sometime after the wedding. The bride had to do as best as she could to acquire a similar dress, and it was very painful for her. We've had medication that was time sensitive that was not delivered. I have had mail that has not been delivered for now some months. We have done our very best to work with the Postal Service. I don't blame these postal workers. It's important to separate them from the people who are in the administrative portion of this service. These workers do an outstanding job. I'm here today because I don't want to see someone arbitrarily and capriciously decide that their jobs should be eliminated. And there's a possibility now that thousands of jobs of Postal Service employees, not talking about administrators now, employees, the people who work in the post office, the people who carry the mail, there's a possibility that many of them may lose their jobs. And this should not happen without congressional oversight. You cannot say that there is waste and fraud without pointing to the waste and the fraud. You can't just decide, pardon me for being colloquial, but you can't decide willy-nilly that you're going to remove masses of people, which is a form of collective punishment. You can't just do that. You have to have some sort of process so that you can give people what I consider a due process before they are terminated, before they lose their jobs. And these people have homes that they have to pay for. Many of them have children that need educations that they are caring for. And you have to remember that when they make these dollars from the government, they put these dollars in motion in communities, and they help pay for fire stations, they help to pay for police stations, police officers, because their dollars spread through the community. So we want to protect jobs. We don't condone any waste, fraud, and abuse, but we want to make sure that it is waste, fraud, and abuse that is finally the thing that Mr. DeJoy and others will focus on. Now, Mr. DeJoy has sent me a letter responding, I assume, to my letter, and it's a very long and lengthy letter. And I'm proud that he would respond. I will make his letter available to you. But the point that I would make with reference to his letter is that he's doing what he's always done, and that is avoid going before the cameras, standing before the cameras, allowing the press to do what it does so well, and that is to ask the questions to get to the root cause of a root cause. He is evading and avoiding an opportunity to give the explanation that he would accord me. He's avoiding giving that to the people. I appreciate what he's doing, but he needs to give it to the people. And because his explanation is rather lengthy, and he does get a bit technical in his explanation, I think that I'm going to now ask that the watchdog give a response to his explanation that he's given to me. I think that the agency that has oversight should respond to the letter from Mr. DeJoy. I'm going to ask that this be done. My hope is that it will be done. But in any case, Mr. DeJoy's letter will be made available to you so that you may peruse it. And if you would, I would ask that you send questions to him that you may have about this process. Because in the final analysis, your engagement has made the difference. But for your involvement in this process, much of what we're seeing would not be called to the public's attention. So I thank you very much. And at this time, I'm going to ask my partner who has worked with me on many different events and issues, the Honorable member who has taken on the task of being president of the Houston NAACP, which is not an easy job. I know I had it for about 10 years. And Bishop, I want to thank you for your tireless work and your being associated with this movement as well. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Congressman Al Green, for convening this press conference today on this very serious subject. You are always in the right place for the right reasons, calling us to give attention and to give concern to those matters that mean most to people. And we're grateful to you for your leadership on today. And I appreciate you according me the title of honorable, though I'm not elected, and as is our dear friend, Chris Hollins. To all of us who are here today, and to the ladies and gentlemen with the Postal Services, we're grateful to be here. On behalf of the Houston NAACP, I'll be succinct and pithy in my remarks, but to say that today we support Congressman Green's position on the continuing work, calling for transparency throughout this process. We do know that where there's transparency, the best decisions are made in the light as opposed to in the dark. And so we want to support that. But further, the need to maintain the watchful oversight is crucial and critical. We do believe that the independent agency that has the task of giving oversight to the U.S. Postal Services is critical in this process. And eliminating it, of course, will create opportunity for more dysfunction. And we want to make sure that doesn't happen. But then I wanted to zero in, Congressman, on the potential loss of 10,000 jobs. When you start talking about employment and the loss of jobs, first of all, we know that our nation has depended on the proficiency of the U.S. Postal Service for decades. That I think we don't need to lose sight of. The men and women who have worked in the United States Postal Services for years have been dependable, they work hard, they deliver services, and we've relied on their services and been able to do so. 10,000 jobs obviously will decrease the proficiency, but more than that, in addition to that, it's going to hurt communities across this nation. This is a serious issue, and I'm trying to keep my remarks channeled, but it's upsetting. I don't think that these policies are moral. I think that they're immoral policies. They're not only unjust, but they're immoral, affecting families, affecting communities, affecting people's futures, without any evidence of the claims of waste, fraud, and abuse. This is absolutely intolerable, unacceptable, and it's un-American, and it's unconstitutional. We're asking all branches of the NAACP, we're asking all pastors and community-based organizations to join and lend your voices to this concern and be a part of the campaign calling for order and for justice. Just a blanket wave a wand to say it's massive abuse, it's massive fraud, it's massive waste, without quantifying those statements, those allegations are not founded and should not be trusted. We hope that all of us will stand for transparency and truth, and for policies that make good sense for services being delivered, but also for the people who deliver those services, and they deserve fairness and justice from the top to the bottom. Thank you so very much.
Let me say just a word about our next speaker. I've already said a few things, but he is a watchdog.
Yes, he is.
The city controller has the function of watching over the actions of our city's executive branch. And there's nothing wrong with this. I support this, and I'm proud to have a watchdog here who has some bite. A watchdog that is marginalized doesn't have teeth. Right. And if you don't have teeth, you don't have bite. You can have a bark, but no bite because you have no teeth. Well, this watchdog is not marginalized, and he does have bite, and he has teeth. Chris Hollins, the Honorable Chris Hollins.
Thank you so much, Congressman. Good afternoon. First thing I want to do is thank Congressman Al Green for calling us together today on such an important occasion. Jobs are under attack. The quality of service to Americans and to Houstonians is under attack, and we cannot take that lying down. And so I want to thank the Congressman not only for today, but for his courage in general, for standing up for what is right, regardless of the personal consequences to himself, and his willingness to consistently be on the right side of history. I also want to thank Bishop James Dixon for his consistent leadership on issues large and small affecting this community, particularly those in the black community with his leadership as NAACP. But I want to make clear that that's not where his leadership is limited to. Whether it's education, whether it's provision of services to the poor, whenever there are folks in need, the bishop has been there. I want to thank our leaders from labor, not only those who are in elected positions, but those who are stepping up to serve your fellow members. I too am a proud member of a labor union, Hope Local 123 with AFSCME, and there's a reason for what you do, and we're here to stand with you. Our postal workers are not doing a job of luxury. They're not providing a service that only the rich or the wealthy are entitled to. It's a critical service. Yeah. And the pandemic called attention to the importance of your work. And back then, y'all got a lot more thank yous than maybe you get today, but I'm here to say thank you. Yeah. When we needed critical medicines delivered, you all were there. When we needed 130,000 people here in Harris County to be able to have the right to vote during that time, you were there. And you were there at risk to yourself, because this was at a time when there was not a vaccine, when we didn't know the extent of the virus, and you put yourselves out there every single day as essential workers. And so we want to say thank you. We hear a lot about running government as a business. And I am a proponent of being as efficient as we can be in providing services to Houstonians and to Americans. But I also want to say this. If a business were delivering mail to a part of the north side of Houston that wasn't deemed a profitable route, they would cut that route. And the people who lived on the north side of Houston would no longer get the mail. If a business were delivering medicines to a senior citizen on a fixed income in East Texas that was too far off from I-10 to be efficient, the business would say, it's unfortunate, but that senior citizen is no longer going to be getting those medicines. That's not what our postal workers have done, and that's not the intention of the United States Postal Service. Right. The intention is to provide these critical services to all Americans, despite the difficulty and despite rain, sleet, or snow. And we're grateful to you for providing that. And so when we think about the 27,000 postal workers across the state of Texas, many of whom are at risk of getting cut today, as the Congressman has stated, with no genuine justification, we think about not just you, not just the impact on you and your family, which is important, and important to the tax base and the economy of this city and this region, but we think about the people who you serve and who otherwise would not be served. And so that's one thing that is of importance here. 27,000 jobs here in Texas. And you're not only serving in your current roles, so many of our postal workers are veterans of the armed forces of the United States of America. And we owe you a debt of gratitude for that service. And capriciously cutting your jobs with little notice and no justification doesn't sound like gratitude to me. And then I'll end on this. I am a watchdog. And when I hear stories of a fox saying that the hen house should not be guarded, I take that personally. We need to have accountability in the services that Americans and Houstonians are provided. We need to have accountability when it comes to the protection of the Constitution, to the protection of the laws and statutes of the United States of America, and that's oftentimes what that watchdog is there to do. And so we got to look at numbers when we're talking about being efficient. We can't wave a flag of waste, fraud, and abuse and then summarily wipe out such an important institution as this and the human beings behind that institution that make it all work. And so I want to end again where I started, which is thank you. Thank you for the work you do every single day. Thank you to Congressman Al Green for bringing us together to speak on this important cause. Thank you, Bishop, for your service. And thank you to the media for providing coverage of this critical piece. We're standing with you. We will continue to stand with you, and we're grateful for your service.
Thank you.
God bless you.
Thank you.
As I indicated, the controller may have to leave, so please don't in any way assume that he is not with us. He is still with us, whether he's here physically or not. The Honorable Willie Ferguson, yes, I said honorable, all right, honorable. Any person who can become the National Association of Letter Carriers president deserves the title honorable.
All right.
And I will say to you that you have earned it over the years. You have helped us to make sure that the mail is delivered timely. And I appreciate you and all of the people that work with you. So at this time, we will hear from you. If you
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, Congressman. I stand here today and I just want to say we got a rally next Sunday at 1 o'clock at the North Facility. And it's going to be a national rally. And we're going to expect to have a mass amount of people out there. So for those who would like to come out. The Congressman has always been a friend of ours. And when we let him know what was going on, he already knows what's going on, that we needed him. Like the Congressman say, I represent about 5,400 members in NAACP Branch 283. And a lot of those 10,000 members that they're talking about are veterans. So the present administration doesn't really care a lot about whether it's veterans or not. We're gonna, Mr. Midden here is my liaison here. He's gonna come up and talk about some things that we're gonna be talking about. But I have to say, the Congressman here, I've been a letter carrier for 48 years. I've been with the Postal Service 48 years. And never in my life have I seen what's trying to take place now. I hear all the people talking about the waste. The Postal Service, if you go back to the beginning, they had a 3-year plan. Make money, lose money, break even. It was never something that was in for the money. So to say there's a lot of waste, I don't know. I don't see it. I've been around 48 years, and I really haven't seen it. And again, I must also say, I delivered mail to the Congressman, to his house. So I've had a long time with the Congressman, and truly, he's always been a friend of ours. I can remember meeting with him on a Sunday morning, breakfast, and it was only 3 of us. And we were, at the time, we were trying to save the Barbara Jordan post office. And here's somebody, it was just me and Al from APW and the Congressman. We would meet over there, and he was adamant about trying to keep that post office going. So this is the type of gentleman that we have here. And it doesn't surprise me that we're here today, and certainly I know we'll have a lot of other people out there that Sunday at the Aldine Bender. And again, it's a national rally, but I'm gonna turn the mic over to Mr. Midden. Mr. Midden is our liaison and he's gonna bring you up on a lot of things, issues that we really have. But again, I've never seen this situation in 48 years the way it is now. And I have to have meetings with my members, and the uncertainty that so many of our members have about their jobs. And again, it's really becomes very difficult to address veterans that they might be the numbers game. So with that, Brother Midden, And I want to thank you
Thank you, thank you.
because you've always been there for us, and I don't expect anything different. And I know when we called on you that you were going to be there because you've always been there for us.
Thank you, thank you.
Brother
I'd
Mill?
like to start off with a thank you. Thank you because you are our stand-up guy.
Thank you, please, come on.
Letter carriers, and the Postal Service has been around since the beginning of America. We're actually built into the Constitution. Article 8 of the Constitution establishes the post office and post roads. The post office now has letter carriers delivering your mail 6 and 7 days a week. And who the letter carriers are the people that come out when it's raining, when it's 107 degrees out here in Houston, when up in North Dakota it's 20 degrees below zero. We deliver the day before the hurricane hits Houston. We deliver the day after the hurricane has left. We're there. It's hard work, but we do it, and we do it gladly. The letter carriers are over 200,000 strong in America. 73,000 of them are veterans. I'm a veteran. Ethel is a veteran. We have lots of veterans in Houston, but 73,000 across the nation who give their hearts to the service and the work that they do. The post office had a Postal Reform Act, which was signed into law thanks to this man and several people, bipartisan effort. We had people on both sides of the aisle supporting the reform of the Postal Service, which is reducing costs. It is the last implementation just occurred on January 1st of this year, which is drastically reducing the cost to the Postal Service for providing health benefits to the retired members that are over the age of 65. We are cooperating and doing what we need to do to make this post office streamlined, fit, and trim. But the attack on the Postal Service and the attack on letter carrier jobs and clerk jobs, Postal Service employment, is not the way to go about it. It attacks all of these people who have dedicated their lives to the Postal Service. We deliver mail to every address, business, and residence in America. Commerce depends on us, and we depend on that commerce as recipients of mail. We do it gladly, and we will do it no matter where you live or no matter where you do business. So I do want to thank our Congressman, Al Green, for standing up for us. He always has, and I'm very thankful that he continues to do so. Thank you.
Great job.
Okay, I'll introduce you.
I'm sorry.
Okay. All right, next we have Ms. Bernadette Baker. She is with the American Postal Workers Union Local 185. And it's interesting to note that while there are two females here today, a good many postal workers are females. And this is one of those places where females are making inroads. They haven't made it to the Postmaster General position yet, but they're on their way. So I'm proud to know that we've got someone who represents us quite well here, the Honorable Bernadette Baker.
Congressman, we did have one
We
young
did?
lady that made it to Postmaster General.
Let me correct myself, please. We had a lady who made it, but she won't be the last.
Right.
First, I want to thank Congressman Green for his undying support of the American Postal Workers Union. I'm speaking on the behalf of my president, Mr. Al Davidson, who is out on business. The Postal Service has about 2,000 employees. Many of them are veterans. The Postal Service is working to make sure that every household in the city, towns, territories get mail on every day. I represent the clerks, the truck drivers, and the maintenance people in the Postal Service. we work very hard to get these jobs done, despite of the policies of Mr. DeJoy since he's been in office, to consolidate and close several of our facilities. This put our employees at great stress levels. As you've seen in the past, where we had these facilities who were overran with packages because they did not have a plan in place to help move the mail. They just closed the facilities and just sent them to places that couldn't handle the work. It wasn't the employees for the reason for the delay. It was because of management's decisions. Mr. DeJoy has raised the postal rate 5 times in the past 5 years, which has never been done before. So his plan for working for the Postal Service is for profit. The profit in the Postal Service has never been so. The Postal Service operates on the revenue that she generates, not tax dollars, which most people are not aware of. So we're asking the public to support the Postal Service because here in Houston, we're a big town, we're a big city, and the companies won't mind coming to serve us. But in places like Boona, Cut and Shoot, Uncertain, Olive Ranch, and Booker, Texas, they won't serve those people. We are here to serve all Americans, not just the profitable ones. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Final statement before we take your questions, and it is this. It has been long rumored that Mr. DeJoy, the postmaster, was put in place to privatize the post office. Now, whether this is his mission or not, he has put himself in a position to do it if he can eliminate the watchdog. He can then be the justification. He will decide what must happen. I don't think that we should allow Mr. DeJoy to have this position because I don't think that the rumors are entirely incorrect. I hope that they're entirely, absolutely, totally, and completely wrong. But he will be in a position to privatize the post office if he can eliminate the watchdog. We welcome your questions.
I don't think we have any questions at this time.
All right, if there are no questions at this time, let me thank all of the persons who've come again and thank the press for being here. We greatly appreciate you. And I'm gonna ask that this message get to the masses. I appreciate you coming to my office, but we would like to see this message get to the masses because it concerns the Postal Service. And there's the rally that was mentioned that we would want to mention again. When is that rally?
Can I call for the committee to come?
All right, Bishop Dixon would like to make an appeal.
It is very important that the call to action reaches the public's ears, and we appreciate the media's help with this. The rally is going to be Sunday, March 23rd at 1 o'clock
At the Aldine Bender.
at the Aldine Bender
What is it? North Facility.
North Facility,
4600.
4600 Aldine Bender, at 1 o'clock. And we're going to get this through our churches, through our social justice organizations, to stand up with our postal workers, mail carriers. They have stood up for us. In rain, sleet, and snow, it's time for us to stand up for them and demand justice and fairness on their behalf.
Thank you so much.
Thank you again, everyone. And with that said, let's try to get this message to the masses. I appreciate your press for being here.
All right,
Thank you.
thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank
We'll
you,
go
Tom.
back to my office now. Tequila, would someone lead the way to my office? Okay, if you'll follow Tequila, we'll go to my office.